Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to create the guitar strap bracelet that I've shown here. And to do this pattern, you really could use any SuperDuos that you would like, and you can create any pattern that you'd like. I went through a bunch of iterations. So this was the original, and I used a combination of 3 colors of SuperDuo, 11-0, and of course, this is a cymbal component, a magnetic clasp designed specially for SuperDuo. And in the description, I'm putting a link to the pattern. You'll see that I've done a lot of versions. And so I have pattern addendums that support the original PDF that show all kinds of different combos that you can create. Each one of these is different than the other. I use different finishes of clasp. Here's a silver, and here's antique. And so I would say pick up 3, 4, or even up to 5 or 6 colors. I think one of these versions on my mat might even have 8 colors in it, but some of them are kind of close to each other. Yeah, it's this one. So this was also a kit that I did that sold out. It's 4 different colors of duet with the white, and then 4 different of the kind of like multicolor duet. So you see there's a lot of cool stuff happening there. And really what makes it look like a piece of woven fabric is the fact that the pattern is just running striped like this. And this is an odd count peyote. An odd count peyote stacks things like little bricks. So you really do get kind of a woven look. And you could achieve this look with almost any colors. You can also get wild and create stripes, and that's what I did here. I did that with only 3 different type of SuperDuo: a solid white, a solid polychrome berry, and then this one is a duet berry. And so the link that I'm placing in the description will take you to this PDF pattern. And there are 3, at this point, 3 addendums, or 2 or 3. I can't remember if I did one specifically for this one or not. I think actually, forgive me, I only did an addendum for these 2 because this one was just kind of a freestyle. But yeah, so this one and this one have addendums that you could easily substitute your own colors and achieve this look. All right. And then again, you can check my shop for the clasps at the moment as I'm speaking. Currently, here in June of 2025, I do have all 3 of these colors in stock. So gold, silver, and antique brass plate. All right, so let's dive in. I'm going to start working with, I'm looking at my tube thinking, do I have enough? So I worked the pattern you saw with what was in this tube, and I'm at less than half. So I'm going to struggle to achieve an entire bracelet length. However, I'm going to have a lot more left of these colors. It doesn't use as much of those. So it uses about half the amount of the contrast colors as it does of your main color if you're working the original pattern. Now, if you're working any of my later patterns, I purposely designed those to use equal amounts. So for example, these 2. So depending on how many colors you want to work with, if it's 3, if it's 8, you can go ahead and do just 4, so play with it. Definitely part of the fun here is making it your own. But I'm going to need to swap out this color for my demo today because I just don't think I have enough to finish a whole bracelet. I'll have to order some more. So I was looking and thinking, what would be a really cool look for this? And if I need to substitute any colors. And so I was peeking in my stash here, and I happen to have quite a few of these left over from the second colorway. So I could use those, and they would look nice here. Or I could completely switch it, and we could do another version of the duos. And so really you could do a lot of different things. So let me muse on that for a while. This is what I have left of the one that I did for, palette 2. I might have enough of this to do palette 2. All right, I think I figured it out. So if you're in a pickle like me and you just kind of don't have all the beads you need, but I've got little bits and pieces left from all the ones I've made, I have quite a few of these beautifuls. So these are my green luster, black and white. And so I have an entire tube of these guys. This is the Sage and Citrus, happened to be one of my favorites. So I grabbed a few. And then this is the Pearl Shine White. And I could use this gorgeous color on the side, or I could go with a Pearl Shine White. I haven't decided between these two yet, but I have an option to line either side. And I was just thinking, if I end up with one that's, it looks like in the case of, I'm going to repeat this pattern, not one of the addendums, just so you have documentation of the original 3-color version. So I ended my duets all with the dark side on each side, which is great because I'm going to use black thread for the demo today. So let's go with this color. That way we can use, a thread that's going to, on one side, you're going to be able to see the thread jumps. Do you see that? So that's important. I think we should probably use black thread against the dark side of this color. So let's dive in. I'm going to pour my beads out and I'm going to start working the pattern. All right, so let's dive into the pattern. What you see here on my mat are colors A, B, and C, and those are identified up here. I replaced Carrot and Spice with Sage and Citrus. I replaced the 2D Fruity Cantaloupe, which is that bright orange here in the pattern that you see there. That bright orange becomes, for me, it's going to be this double-sided duet here. And I'm using Pearl Shine White to replace the one called Amber, which always just kind of looks like a banana to me. That's the one right there. And there's my 11-ohs, which I'm going to be using a pretty green and about 24 karat gold plate, a tenny. My thread is I'm actually at the moment working with 6-pound fire lines, what I used in most of the samples. Currently right here, I have some S-Long Fire, also 6-pound. You can it's pretty flexible. I use whichever thread you like. Thread, scissors, and burner, we'll be pulling that in later. I am using some size 12 beading needles. I might have a 10 on one of these. Let me just take a look. Yeah, one of those actually might be a 10. It's flexible. I have a 12 and a 10 kind of interchangeably being used there. And what you'll notice is that I've already put them onto the ends of a thread, a long strand of thread. And that brings me to step 1 here, which is that you'll want to cut about 85 inches. You're going to thread a needle onto each end. With one of the ends, you're going to leave that as a 20-inch tail. And with the other, you're going to be working with about 65 inches of main. And the reason this is done is it's a 2-needle start. But don't worry if you're not somebody who loves 2 needling. I'm not one of those people. You only have to do it for a little bit, just for 1 row. And then we put the clasp on and you carry on with 1 needle for the rest of the design. So here's how it goes. Let's start by bringing on our first SuperDuo. And so the one thing I'll give you as a tip for the SuperDuos is that we're going to have to pay attention to the side that you're stringing. And because my pattern doesn't indicate a side for my color B, but I have a 2-sided color B, I would suggest just picking one and sticking with it. So if you want to string the green side your default whenever you're picking up color B, that's a way you can get around the fact that this pattern is written for only one. Literally, you can always make this work. So I'm going to pick up, actually, I still want to show you page 1. Sorry about that. I'm going to go through the bead with my main from the light side. So this will be my white side, and this will be my green side. So we'll go through here, we'll make a turn, come out here, and I'll do that so that I have 65 inches here and 20 inches left at the start. So here's stringing through the light side. Okay. And I'm going to pull that through until I have about a 20-inch tail here. And just set that aside for now. And then what you'll want to do is make a turn through the dark side of the bead, heading that way, and pull that tightly. So it'll just kind of lock like that. See? And that's what you're going for. And again, leaving that 20-inch tail. Now, you'll want to take the beads here, and let me just raise the beads up a little bit here so we have a little more work area. I'm going to bring this down. Okay. So we're going to string this pattern. On each needle, we're going to pick up a duet bead through the white side, and then we're going to bring that through the green side of my color B. We'll go through the dark side of the next set of color A, and then I'll be adding color C, and so on until we get to the end. So just follow this. It's also written out up here. So I'll be following that along. So I'm going to put one of these on one side of the needle. And then I'm going to be doing the same thing with the tail side. String this on from the white side. So they're going to sit like that. Then bring on the next color. And when you string that, it doesn't matter which hole you choose first, but bring the needle on the tail side through the open hole of that bead. Pull through, pull working and tail threads apart, and it'll tighten just like that for you. So really what we're doing here is like a peyote stitch start, right? It's just with 2 whole beads. Next color we want for this is the dark side of a color A on both needles. And then I'm going to bring on one of these onto both needles. And then once again, you're going to want to slide that down. One side will be a little longer, so you'll have to pull that through further and pull that apart. And so that's what I've got so far. And you see how the white is lining up with the white side. So this is going to work out really nicely in the same way that I've got my original pattern. I get to see something new, which will be super fun. So we're going to go light sides now. And after a while, you can kind of see it. So you're not going to be having to follow the pattern the whole time. All right. So that was light sides brought through a color B. I defaulted to stringing green side first, just because it doesn't really actually matter. And now we're going to be going for color A through the dark sides, green side, and we'll be stringing a color C through both holes. So there's that side for that one. And then just whichever one you didn't use that for the other needle. String that down. Oops. And it's a little finicky at first because one side is so much longer. There we go. Okay. And then just after every single one, do that tightening exercise and check it. Make sure you're excited about how it's looking. It should be really sharp. This is going to make green stripes. It's going to be closer in appearance to the one that you see here, but more green. It's actually going to be essentially the same as that one. So this pattern, the original pattern that I used to make this, you're going to, like when you start working on it, you'll notice that substituting beads is going to give you really unique looks, even just following the same convention. And so I've got one more set to go. I want to string the light side now of color A. And I want to bring that through another color A, light side. So we'll string that on. I'm trying a new method this way. I'm going to bring the long side down first and see if that is a little easier to pull through. So there we go. So it's going to give me like kind of an edge of the fabric kind of look. A little interesting, yeah? What do you think? So a little different. It's going to be really cute. Okay, we finished step 2. And we finished it adapting the pattern. So now we're going to work on step 3, which is I'm going to string the tail side thread into 1/11 of seed bead. And then we're going to join the clasp to it. And the way that that's going to work is in one swoop. We're going to be stringing an 11-0 and then just going whoop right through and stringing another 11-0. And then we'll reinforce that path. So at the moment, step 3, we're going to be working with that 20-inch tail. And so let's pick up a tail thread, clasp, and 11-0. And you'll want to position the clasp first. Just get it lined up just like that. And then just start to bring your needle through it. And you'll be surprised. You may have to wiggle it a little bit, but me, even working with a bent needle, check it out. It just went right through. It's really nice. I'll pick up another one. And I'm going to turn and look at the side here. It's going to make sense to you looking at it. It makes less sense in an illustration because it feels like you're skipping a bead, but you're really not skipping a bead because this is a bead that's kind of, you want to go through basically the only option you have, the next hole down. And that's going to be something to remember for stitches going forward. All right, so you see what's happening here? What I have to do is go through all these beads, and you will probably need to maneuver a little bit through the SuperDuos. I usually can get through 2 at a time. And one trick I use is so you kind of go through it diagonally like that. It's easier than getting through staying on one side. So you see, I'll just kind of push those through and let that one come out toward the top. This is the trick to getting through rows of SuperDuo in Peyote like that. You flip it over. And then go through. Okay, and that puts me here on the other side. Let me move my working thread for the next steps to be out of my way. Puts me right here. So we do want to reinforce the connection with the clasp at least once. So we'll go through the 11-0. Probably want to go through that just by itself. And so you'll have that. Go through this whole connection here again. It'll be even easier the second time when you pass through it. There you go. Okay, so from here you're going to need to weave in. Or you could go around again and reinforce back through. But what I'm going to do just for now is I'm just going to set the needle aside and weave it up into new rows when I have a few new rows to go through. So for now, let's see if I can get through on this side. Just get through a few beads, and if desired, like I was saying, you could reinforce that connection with the clasp one more time. But for me, just for getting started to show you, I'm going to just push that out of the way. Okay, and leave it for now. We're going to want to add a few more rows. And at any point, once you've done that, you can bring this up there and weave it into it. Okay, so let's dive into step 4. So we just finished step 3. So step 4, I'm going to switch to the main thread. And I'm going to start working in odd count peyote. This is what we're going to be doing for the duration of the bracelet. The way it looks in the illustration and where we're currently exiting is we've got our working thread right here where we left it at the end of step 2. We're going to string an 11-0, and we're going to start adding beads like this. So in this case, it'll be our color A. This is our color C, color B, color C, color B. And this is our color A. And we'll just really on this row only have to pay attention too much to these when we add them. But when you get over here, we'll chat again because there's a odd count turn. Our first odd count turn is coming up. But let's go ahead and start the row. So here's our 11-0. And let me push this into the configuration it was in the handout so you can really see what's going on. So it's in the handout, it looks like that. So we're just like that. We're going to pick up one of the color A from the dark side of it after getting an 11-0. And then you're going to head through the next up bead, which is the outside hole of the sticky uppy. That was what Jill calls them in Peyote stitches, the sticky uppy bead. And we're going to be going through the outside holes of all of those. And that's just how I learned it, how to remember what to call them. Another cool thing is you have some reference points now. I see the color C here. I know I'm going to be picking up a color C. So you can either look at the pattern or you can just look at the row ahead of it, or behind it, I should say. Now we're heading in the opposite direction. So if it's important to you to have, because I have a duet there in place of a solid, I'm going to string this one from the dark side first, just because that one there is strung dark side first. So I'm heading in the opposite direction. It's right to left at the moment. There's another color C. Okay. And another color B. All right. And that puts me right there, exiting from that one. What I want to do next is string an 11, or sorry, I want to string another A and then an 11, and then use it as a way to turn. And so here's how that looks. If you you can see what we're missing. We're missing this bead right there, and we want it to face the same way as that one. So we'll string it from its light side. And just for clarity, I'm going to bring it all the way down so you can watch it settle there. It's starting to look like what we want, right? Now we need an 11-0. And we need to make an odd count turn. And again, that odd count turn is going to go through this bead, make a turn through the inner bead here, come out through the current place where we were exiting when we strung it, and then make that turn to start the next row. So here's the loose bead. There's my 11-0. And I'm going to head through these two beads here. And you can hold it if it helps you. Help that sit a little side by side. Okay, here's the turn. We're going to turn through the other hole of that same SuperDuo and then continue through the next one. So pull that tight. And there it is. Here's that step into the outside hole of that same one. Pull that through. And now you're ready to create the next row. Next row is super easy. So with your thread exiting from here, so right here, we're going to add the following colors. And this row is going to be all color A. See how it's all color A, but you're just flipping them? Then we'll add an 11-0, and then we'll add a copy of the row we just did. And you can see from here what has to happen is another odd count turn. And this is the part that gets repeated for the entire duration of the bracelet. So let's do a few together. We're going to pick up the next color A bead from the light side. There we go, the light side. And just bring that through the next bead. And now it's another color A, but we're bringing it on through the dark side, which for us at the moment is green. Light side of that duet. And the dark side here. And now the light side. There we go. Row complete. Pick up an 11-0. Pick up another color A. String it through the dark side. and bring that through the next up bead. You'll need a color C. And again, just use that bead from the previous row to reference to know what you need to pick up. Here's a color B. Let's string that from its dark side. Color C. Dark side of a color B. And now we need to do an odd count turn. To do the odd count turn, we want to pick up a color A, string it from its light side, pick up a size 11 seed bead. I usually at this step just start doing it in one swoop. We're going to go through both of those. Pull that through. Make a turn. And then head through those two. You're always just kind of going through in a straight line, which will end up being the bottom hole of one bead and the top hole of the next one. So just like that. Finish that turn and head up through that bead there. And we're just repeating now. Repeating from here, repeating step 5. And then you go back to repeating the step 4 and 5 and 4 and 5. So let me show you in the handout. You're going to be doing steps 4 and steps 5 for the duration. If you need to add thread, you probably won't if you've strung the whole 85 inches, but if you do, feel free to just bring in a new strand. And by making some turns in the SuperDuos, it actually happens quite quickly and easily to weave in on a SuperDuo design like that. They lock in real fast. When you get to about within, I would say within half an inch of your desired length, and one way to measure that is as you're working, just take a look at your piece and keep in mind that when it's on your wrist, it's going to be exactly in this configuration. The beads are going to bump right up to that. So it actually makes it kind of easy to measure. You could take your tape measure and just place it right there at the edge of the clasp. And so you can see I've got about 1.25 inches of beadwork at the moment, including my clasp. So you can keep working until you achieve a true desired length. Really easy to do. The only way to take in the clasp length is to just include it right now when you measure. So I'm going to keep going until I've got a 7-inch bracelet over here. So I'm going to add quite a few rows. And when I get there, if I have to add thread, which it looks like at this rate I might make it, but we'll see. I'll turn the camera back on if I end up adding thread. When we get to step 6, we're going to be putting the clasp on kind of in reverse. So work your design, pause this video, come back and meet me then, and I'll show you how to go from the last row to the clasp. All right, so here's a finished bracelet. Let me get you a length really quick. So again, you want to measure from the edge of your clasp to the other side. Looks like I'm at right on 7 inches exactly. That's pretty good. So I want to show you the instructions where we're at really quick. At the moment, I'm hanging out right here. So I just finished an odd count turn, and I'm about to add another row of beads. And so take a look at the clasp on this side just to get some reference. We're going to be making this the final row. It's going to become a row with 6 beads in it. So I'm going to be adding it as the next row after this one. So I'm going to need to pick up 1 extra row on here, just following that same pattern that we've been going with the whole time. So you want to make sure you put the beads on in the same order that you did initially. And there's this one green side. Oh, and I did get through this entire bracelet with just the original 85 inches that I strung, or that I cut from the spool. All right, so I've got this row ready. First thing you're going to want to do is string on a size 11 seed bead, and then keep an eye with the clasp. You're going to want to close it in this direction, right? So if you bring it over like this, you'll see it's going to need to be on the shiny side. Another way you can tell is just go ahead and, if one side is the magnetic side, attach the other side with the shiny side. And here, just like as we did in the beginning, you can attach your clasp right here and just go right through in one swoop. I'm always really amazed at how that just pops like that. It's just the coolest thing ever. It must have taken a lot of R&D to get that measurement perfect. It's very, very cool. So I really like it. And one more size 11 seed bead, and we're at the stage of just go ahead and weave in just like we did at the beginning. I'm going to need to kind of meander through this last row, which, you know, as you know, going through SuperDuos, you often have to wiggle the needle a little bit. I use that same method we showed at the beginning to go through a few at a time. Often helps to push through the other direction. Let's see if I can get that. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so just carry on like that. Go ahead and weave around at least through that at least one more time. It's pretty strong, even with just one pass, honestly, but I will at least make 2 passes through it and then weave in. Our bracelet's all set. And there it is, a new color. I have kind of mostly followed the same pattern as the original. It's just that I substituted each of those 3 colors for 3 different ones, basically. And it came out really nice. And so again, if you love these colors, the ones that I'm using are, this is the green luster. So it's the kind of the darker 2-toned one that is in the mix there. And I used Pearl Shine White. This one is Sage and Citrus Duet. And the seed bead color I'm using is a green blue iris. So that's 11 20 20 Miyuki. And those are the colors I used here. I have a bunch of other inspiring colorways on the blog page where you'll find the pattern. And so I'm already wearing my other one that I got inspired to wear it today when I was working on this one. So let's try this one on and see if I got the size right. Looks like I did. I'm really loving the green with the gold. So that came out really cute. Love the luster finishes on those. So these actually like really sparkle. So next to the luster finish, the pearl shine finishes have a really cool glow to them that I really enjoy looking at and staring at. So if you ever want a bracelet that you can just kind of like gaze at all day, this is one of them. All right, so I hope you've loved the tutorial. I will try to make more like this. I'm working on some really fun new content with some gem duos, so be on the lookout for that. And until the next time, I want to wish you happy beading, and thanks for watching this video. Bye for now.